Sophia, and today we're at Hyde Park, the largest free and public park in Toronto. We've selected this location due to its accessibility near the subway system, and it's also flat and therefore accessible for any mobility issues. Our lesson is a grade 4 lesson that integrates the social studies and the science and technology curriculums. The social studies aspect focuses on Indigenous environments and food sources, as well as the historical story of Indigenous people and their sustenance on bison in Canada. The science and technology side of the curriculum engages with grade 4 exploration of habitat communities, including conservation. We chose Hyde Park to explore the pedagogy of place because grade 4 students can start to engage in their own locations and their own influence on their community.
Materials included in our class are a scavenger hunt worksheet, drawing materials such as clipboards, colored markers, pencils, and pieces of paper. We still have a horn to recall students back to our home base, and we also have a children's book about bison and rubrics for assessment. We implement various tactics such as think, pair, shares, read aloud, a place-based learning, and a KWL chart. Safety rules and emergency procedures have to be discussed within school. Teachers have to bring medical supplies such as first aid kits, EpiPens, and the zoo itself is very safe because it has a dead end and it's one-way street, and there are no vehicles. It is important for teachers to ensure admission slips are signed. For those students who cannot get one, they can spend their day in another grade 4 class. In order to differentiate our class, students are allowed to use multiple forms of expression, such as drawing instead of writing, as an accommodation for our ELL students.
So, before we begin our lesson, assumes that the students have already had an in-class session on different types of habitats. And here is our home base, which is a perfect place for students to sit around and share in groups what they see, feel, and smell in the environment. And we are going to check for their understandings. Teacher would use this information to fill out the section on what students know for the KWL chart. By doing this, the teacher is assessing students for learning. Now, we will do a read aloud of a book called Honoring the Buffalo, written by Judy Silverthorne and illustrated by Mike Kipnis. This story retells the legend of the Cree First Nation in southern Saskatchewan. After the story, teachers can ask the students how they feel now and to share their feelings with their able partner. The instructional purpose is to explore the significant event of the disappearance of the bison and the effect that this had on the bison population and ultimately the First Nation society's food production. Then to think of solutions we can suggest as a class to help the bison. In this class, Read Aloud incorporates science with social studies and Indigenous education, and it is also a multidisciplinary activity that we bring the contents from different curriculums for students to study several subjects in the same class.
Let's see what happens to the bison.
Second activity is a scavenger hunt, and the scavenger hunt is going to start right here in front of the bison cages, and guess what, it's going to end right here. So students have 15 minutes to complete the activity, and then by the sound of the horn, they will know that they have to find their way back to the bison cages. We'll check the attendance to make sure all the students are there, and then we'll head back to our home base. So students are asked to find their 10 o'clock partners as already established in our regular classroom routines. They're given an animal and a worksheet, and then they're put in those pairs, and they're asked to go and find that animal. They're asked to read the information panel and try to figure out what the characteristics of the natural habitat of that animal is, and then they will use pictorial representations or text to write down their observations of the differences between the natural habitat and the habitat at the zoo. So don't send your students out into the jungle just as yet. The teacher needs to model the activity and then check for students' understanding. Okay, so UA is my 10 o'clock partner and we have our worksheet right here. So we are bison. So we have to look around for the bison. Oh, it's right here. The bison is right here. Where is the bison from? It says that the bison is from North America. Yue, what do you see? We see that there is grass.
Yeah, this is trees.
There are trees. And what else?
A home.
There's a home. So there's a man-made place for the bison to sleep. So Yue, now that we have all this information, we are going to either write down the differences and similarities, or we can even draw them if we don't want to write it down. So now that we're back at the home base, students will be asked to present their findings from the scavenger hunt. This evidence of students' thinking would be used as our assessment as learning, and we will use a rubric to record them. In a Think, Pair, Share, students are going to be able to discuss the information and the observations that they found on the scavenger hunt and then go a bit deeper. They're going to think of the impact that human interaction, both positive and negative, have on our environment and our community. Students will then be asked to volunteer some of this information to the entire group, and then the teacher will use a KWL chart as another assessment as learning.
To tie up our activities and bring together the lesson, we've decided to ask the students to discuss the following writing prompts. Students can respond to the writing prompts through a written piece, drawing, or by discussion in order to accommodate the diverse needs of the students and promote inclusivity. The writing prompts will allow students to increase their environmental literacy, making them able to consider their role in their society and make informed decisions about their impact on the environment for positive change and sustainability. Their environmental citizenship will also be increased as students will reflect on the changes in their perspective as recommended by the policy document,
Acting today, shaping tomorrow.